Hi, this is Tim at Volgistics with your latest tip of the week for May 10th, 2021. Your Volgistics database is divided into an archived and a non-archived section. The archive is designed for long-term storage of inactive volunteers. So it's people who are no longer actively serving, but you still want to keep their information on file. And I'm here on the pricing page because in your account service level, archived records cost significantly less. Looking at the 500 volunteer level, is $30 a month for those non-archive volunteers, but for the same number of archive volunteers, it's $8 a month, so it's significantly less. But there are some limitations that go along with being archived. For example, archive volunteers can't be placed on the schedule. They can't log into VicNet or VicTouch. You can't send them email, and they won't appear in most of your printed reports. Now, administrators can arrange to archive volunteers regularly when they're no longer actively serving. This can help you to keep the non-archive service level lower in order to keep your monthly service fee lower. Now, sets can be created to find volunteers who haven't served recently, and then you can use the tags page to archive them. And of course, when we're looking at seasonal or returning volunteers, you can always bring volunteers back out of the archive anytime. And I wanted to show you how this looks, both finding those volunteers who need to be archived, sending them to the archive, and then restoring them. So I'm going to jump back into Volgistics here, and we're going to start by creating a set to find those volunteers who aren't actively serving anymore. So we'll choose Sets from the menu here, and we'll create a new set, and I'm going to call this one No Longer Active. Now I'm going to look for volunteers based on their date of last activity. So this will be their most recent service entry. And I'll say I want it to be more than 90 days ago. So if they've not had any service in 90 days, they'll be part of this set. In this case, I also want to add one more rule based on their start date. And likewise, I want to make sure that it's more than 90 days ago. And you can adjust the actual date range here. But the point of this rule is to make sure that those new volunteers that started less than 90 days ago are not included in this set. So make sure that they have an opportunity to actually record service before they're going to be archived here. But once you've set these rules up the way you want, we can click Finished here. And now we can find all these volunteers by going to the Volunteers page and loading this set. And then we'll click All to see those. So these are all my volunteers that haven't had any recent service. They might be active, they might be inactive, doesn't really matter in this case. But what I want to do is tag these volunteers and send them to the archive. So I'm going to hit Tag to tag all the volunteers who are listed here. And then we'll choose Tags from the menu. Now, before I send them to the archive, it's good practice to also change their status to inactive. By default, changing them to the inactive is going to remove their schedules. In this case, that's fine because I'm about to send them to the archive and they'll be removed from the schedule anyway. But we'll click Go here to change their status, and then we'll also send them to the archive. Click OK there. So now all those volunteers are being moved over to the archive. And next, if I need to restore any of those volunteers, I can do that by going up to Volunteers here. And I'll clear this out, but we'll click Advanced Options and check Archived Volunteers. Now I'll click All here, and this will list out all of my archived volunteers. Now these could be ones that were archived today, could be ones that were archived previously, but here I'll find the volunteer that I need to restore. And then I can click this Restore button. This will bring her back out of the archive so I can work with her as a normal volunteer record again. And that's it. So now we know how to archive and restore volunteers. I hope that's helpful for you as you manage your volunteer records and your service level. If you have any questions about how this works, please send an inquiry to the support team and we'll get back to you quickly. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.